over to our maps, because this gets fun and interactive. So we have both a long view and also a very macro view of a very common part of our river, right? And we've talked about this in passing about where you should be putting your boat, right? But I would like you to start really getting familiar with your part of the river. And so I could not find a map that showed current arrows. So you have a river, right? Current arrows often show size of arrow matters. So your biggest arrows are strongest current. Littlest arrows are eddies or like really small current. And if you actually look at them, it's interesting that your main flow of the river may be going this way, but you have eddies that actually flow up the river, right? And you'll have a dock here that you may have a swirly whirly right there, right? So I would like you to start drawing onto your map. You can use the big one or the little one, I don't care. And get familiar with all the little parts. Do the big main current, sure, but get familiar with what happens right around the end of the island, okay? So feel free to draw all over this map using big arrows for where you think fast current is, smaller arrows for where you think like less current could be. Good question. Is there a symbol for flat or no movement? Sure, make it up. Sometimes I do like bubbles, so like, sometimes you can see the water that just bubbles out like this, and it's not going in any one way. You can do little whirlpools, As you're drawing, look closely at depth. And what sort of visuals tell you something about depth of river. Because as we should know by now, the deepest part of the river is usually the fastest. Shallowest is usually the least amount of current flow. So did any crew have a complicated part of the river that they had questions about that didn't get answered?
Right at the south portion of Ross Island where the channel comes back into the main channel. Every time I hit that, I'm like...
You're talking where it's so shallow?
No.
Right by the
You're north of the Selwood Bridge, that stretch, I just realized we're not moving. We are, but it's like...
You're just hitting that main current.
Why are you not moving? What are you running into?
A much bigger current.
A much bigger current.
Well, and now you have one current that is going one way and another going another, and it's like you hit right in there.
It's the main channel.
That's the reason it's so shallow there, because that's where it's deposited.
Yes, absolutely. On the north side of the island, there's a huge depository area, right? The depth of the houseboats is not as huge of a deposit area.
Exactly.
Interestingly. Okay, why else might you start going slug right there? What do you think else is going on?
Well, what you're saying is the river coming up and it's basically trying to go straight. But it can't.
Yeah.
So it has to turn this way, it deposits here, and then it cuts back everything.
Yes. Nice.
That's what I drew.
This is like a semi, y'all. Like current is like a semi. It takes wide turns, right? And so there are gaps in current when it's turning around there, and our boat can fit right in that gap. And that's some messy water right there. So we got this coming, we've got this coming, we're like banging into it right there. And then with this spot specifically, what do you know about the wind?
I was going to say strong.
Across Willamette Park? It's side wind.
Right.
So it is like funneling right down that narrow alleyway. So you have a headwind, which also makes you start slugging out.
That's why I'm going between forest.
Yeah. So it is natural to slug there. And it's a great place to call up fish.
It's also a spot that if you're in the super winter, as I call it, it's the swirls. You're gonna get the swirls that are like, I can't even make how big they are. As big as this room.
Yeah.
And the swirls, in a 6, they'll affect the 6, but in a 1, you can get completely spun all the way around if you're not paying attention to it. So that's where the big swirls happen because of all of that convergence as well.
Yeah.
Show where?
Just above, yeah. So here's where we come around, and there's the houseboats right here. And this is actually Oaks Park, where the amusement park is. It's all of that area outside of Oaks Park.
Why,
The entire,
Why do you start getting swirls there?
Well, there's a few things happening. We went from a funnel to a bigger space. We don't know what's underneath there. None of us know what's down there, right? We know there's rocks because if you go to the left and the right, there's a lot of rocks.
Yeah. Because you hit
Right? And because like I said, exactly, that entire section hit lots of rocks, right?
Yeah, Patty hit one.
You have the bubble that sticks out.
Oh.
There's a lot of piers that come out along
Yep, there used to be stuff there, so we know that stuff is there, because there used to be piers and things there.
Right.
Yeah. So there.
So that's two really important points of like both going from concerted to diffuse. Current starts to lose its way, right? And it starts to have fingers rather than an arm, right? So that's why you get some funky current right there.
This current reminds me a little bit of the one that's just north of the Hawthorne Ridge.
Oh, yeah.
Fire dock.
Yep.
I thought of that one too.
Yeah.
I've gotten spun in a 6 at the fire
Both
dock.
those situations.
I almost did.
That's why you make time.
You never know which way it's gonna go.
Power through it.
Depending on current or what's going on. The other thing with that one that's interesting is if you do it right, you can go through it and become go through cement, or you can ride the edge of it. And go
Right, and
through
just
it.
kind of like.
And then you just follow through it. Or you go straight through it and then your whole boat goes,
Nice.
Yeah.
For the sake of time, I'm going to move us forward. Okay, you have this map now. You have your little drawing. So feel free to keep it and keep refining it as you take data from your steering, right? If you're like, oh, it was shitty to go over by Toe Island going up river or whatever, start making notes.
Jesse's Bay.
So we're gonna move over to a newer body of water, which hopefully looks somewhat familiar. I at least gave you that it's between Oregon and Washington, and I hope that you know what river that is. I know, right? So this first one, I want you to draw your compass, which is your northeast southwest little thingy, right? Compass rose, so that you orient this map.
Which map are we looking at?
We are looking at this sheet,
where there's nothing on it.
and it says, draw your compass.
Take one, too.
I mean, it's hard to, technically.
Well, that's what I was saying, I mean, in general, it's like, well,
You have the luck of Google Maps usually orients the same way for all maps. So,
Which side of the island are we?
New Washington's north of Oregon.
Right.
No, but it's
good
It's
job.
down here.
Correct.
Now, I want you to remember what you read of the Willamette wind condition.
it's for the
And this is gonna get tough, because
Oh, yeah, wait,
you have a river, Willamette goes this way.
it's,
The Columbia goes this way. And I want you
That's
to
what I was-
guess
yeah.
or know which way the wind goes down the Columbia in the winter and the summer. And draw your arrows with a guess,
so we're just doing wind?
just for now.
Wind direction.
This is
It's just right above it.
Okay.
Think about how you feel in the winter and summer,
So this.
like the wind on your face. So which way is it
Yeah,
coming
we
from?
just had it. Yeah, okay, so this
Yeah.
is this.
North is this way.
Yeah.
Remember, these are also major, like, not the little moments. Then you've been up and like, oh, it's going the wrong way! It's not that moment.
The major wind force.
Oh, yeah.
Now-
We're right, see?
You can keep working on that. Draw the direction of the water flow and draw a strong line down the channel, the main channel of the river, where you guess it is. You can use the coloration in the water. You can use what you know about wide and narrow parts of rivers.
So the title is out, or almost up here, right? It's coming down and turning, this is ready to turn.
Now, Brent's going above and beyond, and I will say there is one main channel. There is a side channel, because we have an island. There's many
Right.
side channels, but there's one main channel. All right. Will anybody warrant an offer for which way the compass goes? Which way is north on this map? Up. Very well done.
Yeah, this isn't right.
Started with the easiest questions first. Which way does summer wind go?
West.
East.
It goes east.
East, think of
It
the
goes
wonders
east.
and the
It comes
doors.
from the west, it goes to the.
That's what they meant.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Okay. Which way do winter winds go?
The other way.
West.
from,
They come from the east and go to the west.
and sometimes south.
And if you ever do download the Windfinder app, the main page of it is a beautiful representation of wind flow in the world, because it will show you these beautiful arcs of winds, currents, and if you pan out far enough, you will see that the Columbia Basin funnels all the wind from all of the Pacific Northwest right up the gorge, right, in the summer.
which is what everyone loves.
And then it comes from the north in Canada down it to the west in winter, right? So it's a huge wind tunnel. So that's really important evidence for you. Who wants to warrant a guess of where the main channel is? And you can show your map and point to it if you'd like to try that.
Does it run, it's at the bottom, because like you said, it's a bit semi, so I would think.
Nice.
The main channel.
Is that where people got it? Is this right
Yeah.
around here?
Yeah, just a
The big boats get to go.
Did you notice that it follows our state line?
Yes.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That is because states create boundaries based on commerce. And our commerce follows the main channel where our big barges go. And so I believe that our states share that international water travelway.
I think it's going this way. Maybe that's the next, didn't we just answer that one?
What was the thing that you asked?
Which direction
Oh,
is the water?
great. Which way does the water go?
To the ocean.
To the west. It needs to go west. So it's going toward the Willamette?
It is
Yes.
going towards the Willamette at this point. And you would have to know that, Blue Lake Regional Park is east of the Willamette in order to know that.
Oh, that knows, yes, okay.
Most rivers go west on this side of the continental
Correct.
divide and the
Yes.
east on the other. The Willamette is weird because it flows north and not many rivers.
Yeah.
But
Yes,
it,
really.
but it also treats the Columbia like the ocean, if you think of it.
The Willamette.
Yeah, it's tidal as well, that's good.
So the water's coming.
All the way up to that.
From the ocean. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so you have gotten your grounding in your conditions. Let's turn the page. And you are going to race this course.
I remember racing. I was thinking about how we hung over here.
So this is going to be a really cool corrective experience where you're going to learn something new about the course you had. So your race directors have given you this map to show you the loose course outline. You start from this point at the bottom. You race up around the island up here, and then you race down across the Washington side of the Sandbar Island. You turn that bottom part of the island, and you race up again around the island in reverse with a right-hand turn, and you finish at this point again.
Yeah.
Okay? That's your race course. Now, I want you to turn the page. We're just going to do everything on this next map. what your obstacles and assets are. Where is your fast water? Where is your slow water? Where are your shallows? Where are your depths? And where are you gonna get bunched up with a lot of other boats, and where are you gonna be out by yourself, right? And I want you to draw your course.
I remember all
Okay,
those
can I make a
beach
reminder
on this.
that if though you've done this course, that start line, not about what, 50 feet from there is a giant set of pylons. that you have to
Well, let's not even see a tiny, tiny little white thing that sticks out.
Make that go almost all the way.
Just
like,
consider
scoot it
that
out
that
further.
sticks out 75 feet in front of you as you start this course,
Directly at it.
okay?
Danger, danger.
So,
I'll just-
while we have a humongous map, consider that there's lots of small things
Yeah.
to take into consideration along your edges, okay? And out in the middle of the river. So give it your best shot to draw it. We will again convene with our partners.
We're doing this in the summer, right?
Right now.
It's a great question.
You said-
Choose either a summer start at 11 a.m. or a winter start at 8 a.m.
Oh my God.
And how will those change things? If you need a little help with why time matters, wind is usually the most still in the morning, and it picks up in the afternoon. I want to hear from you all. What did you get proud for identifying? What part of this race were you like, oh, I'm going to make sure I'm going to blank? Tell us what you thought of.
We both did a big lobby thing, stand there.
How come?
Because that's sort of like the end of Ross Island. It's got all that icky.
Kind of will
no
slow down there a little bit.
Stop. Right down to there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
When I add though, with that part, yes and. Because what is your other option is you have to be coming back up, right? At that point, you're going against the current.
Right.
Where would you go?
Yeah, against the current.
In the current? Yeah.
We did the solar race and we assumed that the strongest course is just straight down the middle.
So Laura, are you summer at 11?
Yes. You know me, I'm gonna early.
So you remember that? Are you talking about this spot right here?
Yeah.
So in the race, you've gone around the bottom of the island.
Right.
Where do I go from there?
So when we came around, we came down,
Yeah.
You went down through the main channel.
yeah.
So I don't want to say there's rights and
Nope.
wrongs. I just want you to justify
I just
your
wanted to know
reasoning.
why.
So
Where you go.
every
Okay.
serious person gets to make their own choice.
Yeah.
So if it's a 20 mile an hour wind, it's different than if it's a 5 mile an hour.
So
Yeah.
true,
Yes.
so true.
Yes.
So if you were going to choose that line, what is your wind condition that's ideal for that
I'd
decision?
want the wind.
You'd want the big winds.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. If there
Brent,
wasn't wind, then I would be modified.
what would be your line if there was a 5 mile an hour wind
There was a 5.
from the
from that
west?
from that west from the west.
Yeah.
So I would be hanging out next to this island as close as I could, and then cutting the current and wind to get to this one. over
Why?
here. So the way that it's going to come down, the way it's coming down is it's going to come and hit, right? And so I want to give as much protection to my crew as possible. Doesn't mean I'm going to take a chance of being aware of the sandbar over here.
Yeah.
100%. Is there a moment when someone might be walking it out? Yes, 100%. It's possible, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that I also, this little guide right here is a barge, just so you know, and it doesn't go anywhere. You can hide behind it.
Yes.
There's a lot of hiding
Nice.
once you get across over
Nice.
here, and that's what I
remember
So
doing
that
that.
decision was based on wind being stronger than current.
Yep.
This decision is based on current being stronger than wind. Both are right. Both are
Yep.
conditionally based. Nice.
Tide coming back.
And there's tide for sure. Absolutely.
So
What?
I do
Barge,
remember
sorry,
going
what- So if
behind
you're
this
coming back,
race.
you're going behind the barge so
Yeah.
that you can come back over
Uh-huh.
here at the
And that's
finish.
when you don't
So you're
have
going
much
around the island the other way, but you're going all the way to the other side, is that what you're saying?
So,
You're
yeah.
basically slingshotting around.
Yeah,
that.
so I would come all the way here behind the barge,
Wow.
and then right about that part where I would see the turn happen, you slingshot across, and then you end up right in the current back.
That's
I
what
remember
you're
that.
through going the other way.
Yeah.
You come down along there. and
So
then you
tell
do
me-
this and you slingshot down.
Tell me about bends in rivers. What do you know about current through a bend in a river?
Your
Stronger
interior,
where?
By
interior.
the edge, isn't it?
Which edge?
If it goes out, it slows down because it has more room.
Outer edge is faster water, inner edge is slower water,
Okay.
right?
And then it's gonna pick
Is that because it's filling the space so the current picks
And
up?
because it's a semi and it makes wide turns, there's a void.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, right. So it's filling the vacuum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha.
On
So,
the inside bend, it's gonna be depositing all kinds of stuff, and on the outside, it'll be
Sure.
cutting the bank.
But you also have to factor in that that's not your straight line, and
Yes.
is that the way to go?
distance versus
Yeah.
water condition, right?
Yep.
Do I
Yeah.
take the shortest line, which is probably just as straight as I can make it shot to here, right?
Back, yeah.
Or
I see what
do
you're
I
doing.
bend the curve so that I can maybe get the slowest, shallowest water, because it might have some back eddies through here,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or, shoot, do I take the outer curve, which is the longest curve, but if I have a ripping wind,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's the best surfing,
Okay.
right?
And I would think you're also thinking about your crew and their ability to get through something if you gauged it a bit off
Absolutely.
and need to correct.
Absolutely. Any other little points in this map that somebody identified they want to adapt for?
Here, at the very end, where you come around
There's a little
this,
sandbar up
that
there.
there is a sandbar, and particularly if you've got a strong wind, it could push you. And I just remember this because we were hugging it as close as we could. But the left side paddlers were constantly like, sand, sand,
Yeah.
you know, and so that was, and you had to keep the power around it so you didn't just get washed
Nice.
up onto it, yeah.
Right, so this is the downward side of an island, right? And so there's usually sediment deposit at the end of an island on the downward side. So you are making decisions about, do I do a longer loop? And do I lose potentially a shorter course because I'm gonna stay out farther and be in faster water,
Right.
right? Or am I gonna cut it short because sometimes I can gain a boat length by cutting in shorter than somebody else, but risk coming up on sand.
So that's sort of the same idea of coming up the main channel of the Willamette and wanting to make a right-hand turn at the top of Ross Island. You gotta go up high and turn.
Right,
because-
right.
I know
Right.
yeah.
Nice.
There are also, not on this map very well, two big strainers right here, sets of strainers. So this top little thing is actually an outlet, and there are pylons all the way across, and you can't actually get through it. So it is a strainer. You are stuck on it if you get in it,
Yeah.
one. The second one has an opening, but so that what happens is it's also a strainer, but it's opening just big enough for some power boats and like houseboats, and it sucks right in.
Yeah.
So if you're near that, you're gonna be fighting that down
Yeah.
each time you cross it.
Stay
And that's the
away.
way the
Another
novice
reason to
crews go on
stop.
this race. The novice crews start and go this direction around the island and then back at the finish. Everyone's like, oh, I'll cut back down. You know what happens with a novice crew when you get really close to that? It's really loud, one. And two, you take a lot longer to get where you think you would be a better route, so.
Any other conditions in this map that people wanted to plan for or have questions about?
The other turn.
The other turn's so good, I'm glad you brought that up. So let's talk specifically about when you've turned this one and you're on your last leg, right? This is your third leg, and you're gonna turn a right-hand turn around this island. What's your line up there?
You're coming back, you said?
Yes.
After you've made the turn, or as you're going into the
I want the line to the turn,
You wanna,
to the turn.
you wanna get as close to that island as possible.
Yeah, I think you're
Why?
hugging it and then,
You're, with the assumption that there's not debris stacked up there.
Uh-huh.
As soon as you get around, you're back into the current line.
Gotcha, so you're doing
Yeah.
shortest course.
Yeah.
That's your value, okay. Other thoughts?
Are you, after you come around that, you're going with the current into the wind, so you want to get down closest to the shoreline as quickly as possible?
If you have 20-mile-an-hour winds, yes.
Yeah.
If you have
Yeah.
5-mile-an-hour winds, you
Stay
stay
out in
mid-current.
front.
You wanna ride the current.
Yep.
Yeah,
As long as
exactly.
you can.
So tell me about what you see of this river. Like, how big is this river compared to this big river? And what does that do to the current right
It's
here?
gonna make it faster, isn't it?
Faster.
Faster.
Funneling into there.
Okay, so what if you decided to hug the shore like Bren,
And then you cut down.
and then you cut down? What does that mean?
Like a 90.
I
So
mean,
you do a
you
90
hug as
degree
long
angle.
as possible, and then you just cut and come around.
Well,
Okay,
You're trying
so
to really
you would
slice it
hug,
up.
hug until you do a 90 degree.
But you're gonna be
Borderline, yeah.
having, assuming that there's current, you're gonna be having it hit your own side.
Yeah, and
the
wind.
entire
Is this summer we're
duration
talking
going
still?
straight
Push you
across,
this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
You definitely
Yeah.
are.
Right.
You definitely are.
So would it be better?
Go a little
just
past
Straight
and-
down to sort of ease it around and
Or do you even go a little further and let it bring you
Yeah.
in?
Yeah.
Also
That's
the-
what
All
Bring it
of
back
these
in.
are exactly what crews
Yeah.
try, and I have no idea which one is the fastest.
It depends on your crew.
Yeah.
At that moment.
And the wind, and it's split-second decision making.
turn.
When you get there, you're like, is the wind that big? No, not really. It's not really moving that. I'm gonna try just going out to the island. I'm gonna try going
Yeah.
through the current to see if that's the fastest line.
And you may get there, and be like, never mind, come out for a minute. Never mind, come back out for a minute.
So, again,
Or you're
just-
stubborn.
all of those were completely acceptable ideas to go up past it so that you're using a drift to help you get back to the island, right? To cut straight across and fight the current like this. That's an idea. So there's so many,
Straight down, you could actually get pushed into the island.
Yeah.
You could.
it's possible.
So that's not Government Island, but what's
No,
what's the name of it?
This big island is Government Island. This is a sandbar, I don't know what it's called.
It's a sand. Oh, this is good.
Sweet. So now you have some sense of like what you could do as a steers person before a race. Okay. I promise you, I don't do this.
Lady Island Range.
But if you are brand new to a race course, I really do recommend you at least look at a map and get familiar with the places you'll be. Because this is the data that's in an experienced steer's head as they're starting to think about their line. And their placement at the start includes all of this data.
Yeah.
The reason why people start out farther at this race is because of the pylon, and you don't want to do this at the start of your race.